Hello, my friends. Welcome to our episode today. I want to dive into money today. So, I want to talk about this a few different ways. And this is specifically when it comes to money and in your pivot. So, what are the finances like when you want to bring something new into the world? How do you prepare for it? Some myths. And how do you actually plan the finances of the new offer suite? So let's start off with some myths. The biggest myth that I want to dispel is that the definition of success is a certain amount of money per month. For instance, 10K months, 15K months, 20K months, this means that you have made it. This is unequivocally not true. And let me tell you why. So a couple of examples. One is, according to who? You are successful with X number of dollars per month according to who? Somebody's 10K months may be life altering and somebody else's 10K months may mean absolutely nothing and is the less than the minimum that they need to make. And when you see people talking about how much they made from their launch or this or that, let me let you in on a little secret. So as a certified OPM, I have been in the back end of all the businesses, lots of 6 and 7 figure businesses. And yes, a lot of times when they're saying, oh yes, I sold this amount, that is true. But guess what they don't share? They don't share that the operating expense of their business is super high. They don't share that they also had an ad spend that was huge. What they don't share is that they may have sold that much, but they barely made any profit at all. So I invite you to reframe how you consider success financially into this. Let's consider this. What is your dream life? What is what you actually need to achieve it financially? Money is the tool that gets you to this, to your dream life. Money is not the thing. It's not the end goal. It's the tool. So I invite you to stop focusing so much on the money. I invite you instead to focus on the goals, on the mission, and make that the center of what you need. Because money needs a job. Money needs to go somewhere, and that is what helps it to flow. That's what the universe sees in order for it to flow. So consider for yourself, one, what is success? What is success for you personally? And just ignore what everybody else says success is. And two, what is it that you need for your dream life? And just focus on that. And that releases a lot of this weird pressure that, other people put on you, right? That we see all online and all of these things. So those were the myths. So now let's get into some actual numbers. So let's talk about the pivot itself. So let's say that you're like, okay, I'm doing this thing. For instance, let's say you're a general VA. You want to move into becoming a project-based systems person, something like this, right? So this is a big shift. And what you need in order to make the shift is time. And what you need in addition to the time is money, because you need to sustain yourself while you're making this shift. And let me tell you why. Obviously, right, you need to eat all of this, but bigger than that, it is the fact that when you are making business decisions, when you are making such a big overhaul in your business, you need to feel stable. Your nervous system needs to feel supported. Making business decisions from a place of scarcity and lack is never a good idea, because the things that you're going to decide to do are short-term solutions. More likely than not, it's going to be influenced by your immediate surroundings, by the immediate situation in front of you. So when you are doing this pivot, I really invite you to take a breath, take some time, plan for it. Give yourself, honestly, 6 months in order to get everything up and running and going and comfortable and all of that. And plan for needing extra time to dedicate specifically to this and the money to sustain yourself. So how does that affect what you're doing now? It's a couple of things. So One is that you need time. So if you are working so much on all of your client work and it's taking up all of your time, you do not have the dedicated resources. You don't have the brain space in order to, you need the creativity. You need to let some feminine flow in there when you're doing this. So you need that space, and it's so important to have dedicated time and space to the next evolution of your business. So if you're spending all of your time on client work, we have to fix that, right? We have to kind of come in and think about things in a new way. And how do we set up or restructure or do something with what you're doing now to give you more time? And right alongside with that, hand in hand with that, it is the fact that you also need money, right? You need the security of what you have now in order to shift into where you are going. So what does this look like? It's very dependent on you and the structure of your business, but perhaps it looks like fine-tuning or changing or updating what your offer is. Perhaps your offer is something that's really like it takes a lot of time, and can we tweak it in some way where it doesn't take up so much of your time? Maybe this looks like hiring some help. Maybe it looks like getting somebody in your business to assist you in some of the tasks to free up some of your time. Maybe it looks like I'm going to work super hard for the next 2 months, 3 months, save up some extra money so I have some more breathing room and I can reduce my client load a bit to create the space for the pivot. And if all of this sounds a little bit scary, it's okay. It's meant to. It's meant to, because this is your next evolution. And if you weren't a little scared, if you weren't a little nervous, it means that you're not growing. It always happens. All the thoughts, all of the fears and the doubts come in when you are on the verge of your next level. So just know this is part of the course. And this is why it's so important to know what your dream life vision is, what your magic is, like to have that conviction, because it's a bit of a road here. If you're like, either I'm feeling really bored with what I'm doing, I'm feeling burnt out, I'm feeling uninspired and I really want to shift it, you can stay where you are. It's going to get worse. Or you can put this plan together and move to the next evolution, the next level of your business, where you're going to jump into something that's super exciting, that that you love, that will give you more purpose. It will give you more profit and all of this. So just know that's par for the course. So we talked about the myths. We talked about the finances to prep for this pivot. And so now let's get into, how do you figure out the finances of this new offer suite? Like, what is it? What's that going to look like? And how do you plan for this? So when we are talking about finances, there's 2 levels to it. So one is, do you know the actual numbers? Do you know the numbers that it actually takes to support your goals and for you to achieve the things in your dream life? The one, again, your dream life, not the dream life of somebody else that they sold to you or they influenced you to have. So there's 2 tiers to this number. The first is the base number. So what do you need to cover your expenses to ensure that your needs are met? So again, baseline, what do I need to make my needs met? And the second number is the expansive number, and this covers your wants. So maybe you want to travel so much more, so you need a bigger travel fund. Maybe you're saving for a house. Maybe you, want to give your kids horseback riding lessons, like things like this. So knowing your actual numbers, giving your money a purpose, along with knowing the actual numbers. I'm making this much because I want the travel fund, because I want to travel 4 times a year. I want to digital nomad, whatever. This sends a much clearer message to the universe for money to flow. And in addition to that, when you know the number and the reason for the numbers, your brain and nervous system understands it as concrete. It comprehends it so much better versus this, I just want to make 10K months and that means nothing. So your brain doesn't understand that. So when there's actual things that you want to accomplish, now I get it, right? So now it can happen. So now that you know, okay, this is how much money I need to take home, figure out what you need to get there. So this is when you get into the nitty gritty of your actual running of your business. So right now, what are your business expenses? And what are your business expenses in the future? So for instance, what about the scaled version of your business? Or maybe you have a team member or two. Maybe you've upgraded into a different email marketing platform or joined one, period. Things like platforms, team, coaching, business development. Maybe you want to hire some mentorship, some coaching, which I highly recommend in this process. Maybe there's some sort of retreat or there's a business, like some course you want to take. So things like this. So of course, this number can change, but again, giving yourself a general idea is going to help you to create the plan. So knowing your expenses and knowing what you need to achieve your goals, now you know how much you need to bring into your business. And this really helps you to price your offers and know exactly what your sales goals are to achieve them. And it helps to make it so much more concrete. So having actual numbers is so much easier to digest, and it's so much easier to see how you can achieve them versus some elusive random number that's just like peer pressured from the internet, So another thing on pricing, you might say, okay, that sounds interesting, I guess, but how can I just make my pricing like that? That's not how you price things. Well, actually, it is. So consider this. When you have a business, so when you have an offer, you need to be able to dedicate yourself fully and serve at a high level. And in order to do that, you need to have the brain space, you need to have the time, you need to dedicate yourself to giving results, right? This is what we're here for, to be intentional, to really serve deeply, to be there for clients, and to really be in integrity with what we're doing. And there's going to be, so let's say you have this offer, the systems build offer. And let's say, okay, I'm doing some ClickUp systems build. And what if this takes you 2 weeks and it's priced at $500? That potentially sounds like, that's like, I'm going to be maybe a little resentful of that. Or, it's not going to work out so well because I'm not going to, it's not going to just like hold me to be able to say, okay, I'm looking forward to it. I want to make this build. I'm going to make it as amazing as I can because the price isn't there. Something off with it. And the same thing can happen when it's priced way too high. Then you put all this pressure on yourself. So it's really this number, and there's no magic number. There's no number of, this should cost however much. Whatever your price is, there are always going to be people who will say, no, that's too much. And there will be people who will happily pay it always. So I really invite you to consider all of this when you're pricing something. Know that it is not a science. There's some magic to it. And just know that having a number where you can really dedicate your space and time to and feel good for it is really the goal. So that is all for today. Lots of money talk. And so I really hope you got something from it. And if you listen to this and you were like, oh, this is great, but I don't exactly know what I want to do. Good news is that I have a free Soulful Scaling Roadmap for service providers for you to download. It goes through a bunch of different scaling paths and, more importantly, the questions to ask yourself to do some self-examination to see what is the one that is best aligned with you. And you can find that at dancingleafsolutions.com/roadmap. It'll be linked in the show notes, of course. And that is all. I will see you guys next time.